Let's. All right, guys. It says we are live. Eli is over here in the corner, boiling a little bit of water. I'm going to do my aerial press tonight. I told a couple of people that I would do 2 aerial presses and or do an aerial press, but I might do this little thing live tonight. I'm for sure going to do at least me some coffee live. Remember, share us on Facebook at Legacy Farms Coffee, Instagram at Legacy Farms Coffee 2010, and that's the one we're going to be focused more on. And then YouTube, all of our videos are posted on YouTube at Legacy Farms Coffee 200. Please invite friends to come and watch the podcast. We're going to work on it Friday and get more on Podbean and those things. But right now we're just trying to grow. I'm going to answer a couple of questions before we start the podcast, and then I'll finish up the questions afterwards. Somebody just asked, what is the hardest part of the coffee business? And that has been this week. It is not being there. This week I got a call. Well, actually last week I got a call from some of the workers, and they said it's raining and there's some erosion and we need to do something about the bathroom. Well, the guard hasn't been working there. He had somebody else guard for him so he could go do another job that he wanted to do. So wasn't anybody really dependable on the farm. So all these rains, there's a rainy season every year. All these rains have been washing the dirt out behind this, our very best bathroom. The bathroom's going to have it's 2 bathrooms and 2 showers built together. We did a really nice job. It hadn't put the tile floors in or anything yet, but still, it's a very nice bathroom. And we call it the Gringo bathroom. It was designed by me and built so that we could, when the North Americans could come, they would have hot water and they would have an American style toilet to use and have a sink and all in there. So it is really nice. But by the time they called me, I sent them this list. Okay, get some concrete, start making some sandbags. And their response was, it's too late. We need to take the roof off of it and pull the toilets before it goes over the hill. So they waited until it was too late. And so I think it was about $1,800 because when it went down the hill, it took out the concrete septic tank that we built. So the septic tank's got to be redone. It's a huge septic tank because it was made for groups of 20, 30, 40 people to come and stay for a week. So it had to be big. So it took all of that out. So $1,800 to $2,500 is probably what it's going to cost, not including what it's going to cost us to build a retaining wall, where what we could have done with some sandbags to divert the water during the rainy season. Now we're going to have to go in and build a massive, like using boulders like this, a retention wall that I imagine it's going to be $1,500 to $2,500 also. So a project that could have been done with $100 worth of sandbags is now going to be $5,000 probably just to put back the 2 bathrooms that were already there. So those are some of the more ridiculous things that happen on the farm that are completely cultural. The fact that they can just walk by it every day and not pay any attention to the fact that every day there's less and less ground behind the bathroom. Those are things that is the hardest question to deal with. And I wanted to get that off my chest because that's been driving me crazy. All I could think about today. And then looking at how much money we have in the budget compared to how much we're going to need. And I'm changing my entire schedule. We were trying to do everything where I could leave and come back. There's Eli, my cameraman, marketing man, all around gopher man, and number 1 helper, number 1 travel buddy. So now I'm looking at leaving Sunday to go to Honduras. And if any guys have flown much or any at all, you know that buying a ticket 3 to 4 days before the flight is probably not going to be your best value. So I'm looking at a couple of things. Right now, everything flies me into El Salvador or Guatemala or some random country before I get there. And the flights like that always make me nervous. You can easily get stuck in a country if you don't have the right vaccination and I don't know about you guys, but I don't carry my vaccination card. I wouldn't be able to. Take me a month to find it, to call every doctor of every town I've lived in the last 20 years to find out what all I have and don't have. But that's what we're dealing with on the farm this week. So to happier things, here we go. I do an inverted AeroPress. May be right, may not be right. I'm still playing with some of my grinds. If you watch my video on Instagram, I did one day, had it all measured out, and poured the water in there, and I tried to put my cap on, and I realized I got the inverted. And so I just had to dump everything out. And I actually tried putting a V60 filter and dumping it in the V60 filter, but it was dead. It was just a dead, there was no saving it. So I can get pretty close with my little, the older AeroPresses came with this little scoop, but this right here normally, oh, can I have a scale? That might be important. The earlier AeroPresses came with that scoop. This new one that I just got did not. But generally, if I'm in a hurry, I slap about 2 of these bad boys in there, and that's about 30 grams. And I do realize that's a lot more than some people put in there. And I don't know why I decided to sit down tonight. It's very ineffective. 29.2 grams. That's close enough for Mound Ridge at 9 o'clock. So I'm not going to do it the way I usually do it. We're going to speed things up a little bit for the camera. I usually steep it for 2 minutes. And then I just use that. I know they give you the little paddle. And again, I didn't get that little paddle or a carrying case in my my new AeroPress. But the next thing I'm going to show you guys is the first one that I bought. So I go ahead and put her all the way to the top and let it steep for that 2 minutes. Start my timer. This is after I bought it, I realized it didn't say AeroPress anywhere on it. So I go and I look at the little bag and the box and all that came in, and it says AirPress. And I think it's AER Press. So it's a little bit more generic. The seal, this seal is better. But normally let me have a little cupping thing on the espresso machine. A little clear bowl, cupping bowl. So normally, if I'm going to use it, I have to put a little bit of hot water in it. And I pull this out and let it soak while I'm doing other stuff. Then I put my filter in here. I won't need a filter. I won't need a filter. I put my filter in and get this little top all ready. And while you're doing all of that stuff, then you can grind and everything. This right here starts swelling a little bit, and then it'll be ready to pour pretty quick. If you don't do that, it makes it almost impossible to do the inverted because the water and coffee just start leaking straight out. And if anybody has questions, I've got comments turned on. Again, I am not going to be entering the World AeroPress or World AirPress competition anytime soon. But the difference between the two, well, first of all, I ordered, because these were $8 a piece, I think I ordered like 6 or 7 of them. And I said, man, this would be great to give out to customers and stuff. And it worked out pretty good. I kept 3 for me, and I gave away 3 or 4 of them. And I think Bill, I'm not sure if Bill's watching. There's a bunch of people watching tonight. Welcome, guys. I sent Bill one. He's on here quite a bit. I want him to become my, I need a couple of podcast partners. But I am loving the little steel filter, the little stainless steel filter. And I normally pop that sucker on the top, and then I put my filter on. And Eli and I went and spoke to preacher and some people up in San Antonio, and and then afterwards we went to the Alamo. I'm from Alamo, Tennessee, so we love Davy Crockett down there. He left what was called Maplesville, which later became named Alamo, Tennessee, and he died at the Alamo in San Antonio, Texas. So we went to see Fort Alamo, I guess what it's called. Fun. And so for only $18, you can get a coffee cup. It says, "You may all go to hell, and I will go to Texas." And so that's what he did. And that's what happens when you leave Tennessee. Nothing but bad stuff. So I have my little inverted AeroPress. I spin her around. And when you spin it, I've never noticed it in the darker one, but in the lighter one, you can see what floated to the top once you turn it upside down, it goes shooting up again. So I give it a second and sort of let the heavy stuff go down. Just my reasoning is that is the heavier coffee, or that is actually the coffee. And so now I'm pushing the water through the coffee, versus if I'd left it up here, there's no more water passing through it. I usually take about 30 seconds to do my push. I don't get in a big hurry. That's the big difference that you're going to notice between the newer one that's called the AeroPress Pour Control Filter Cap. This thing goes quite a bit faster. I'm not sure why, because I use the same stainless steel filter on both of them, but it's quite a bit slower. So, or it's quite a bit faster. But I've always heard, and when I was in barista school, our instructor said 45 seconds to do an AeroPress. That's really slow, but that's it's about what it's taken to do this one. And I'm pushing on it pretty hard. And the AeroPress, the real AeroPress, has got very close tolerances compared to the AirPress. If you push on it really hard, you're going to have coffee pass the plunger, or come past the plunger. All right, I'm going to take that off. Hey, Eli, can you come around to the other side? Shoot that puck into the trash. And I'm going to use the same filter on the other one. Clean it off with some lukewarm water there. And we'll try to use the AirPress. Well, I guess I'll just use the same one. And then I don't have to worry about making a big mess. My personal thing is I fill the AeroPress with about 250 milliliters of water, 30 grams of coffee before the water, and then I'll add in about 120 milliliters of water afterwards. And that's sort of my little mix. 119.7. And that's going to be the cup of coffee I drink tonight while we all get on here and talk. I think Bill's in his nightgown. He's not going to come on. Richard's on. Anybody that wants to come on always is welcome. It doesn't matter if we've ever talked before. If you guys are watching and want to come on, you can come on and be famous. We got tens of people watching tonight, but we've had quite a few people rewatching it. So that's probably the most important part. How many people watch it and listen to it while they're driving and stuff like that on the podcast side. You can get it in MP3 or MP4. All right, I'm going to do basically the same thing again. I'll reset my timer. I'm usually standing up, so I get a little more aggressive on it when I'm standing up. And just give it a good stir. Probably shouldn't wash off the wand into the AeroPress. I'm not actually going to drink this one. And we have this other awesome cup, Legacy Farms. And it says, it's got a proverb or Psalms on there. It's my cup runneth over. Which would be sad if it actually ran over and spilled out. And I'm going to do the same thing. I think it'll take a tad bit more. I dropped my little filter on. I'm just afraid I'm going to bend it. It's pretty delicate, and I absolutely love it because it was free. I love free stuff. And my birthday's in April, just in case you guys want to know. It's true. And same thing. I'm going to pour it just like I normally would. But tonight, I'm going to do it a little different. I didn't let it steep very much. I'm going to try to shoot it like this. I don't know how well you guys can see it. But it just shoots it out in a stream. Yeah, I think if my shirt's behind it, you can see it. You can definitely hear it. It's getting pretty hot. So I'm not exactly sure. And if you guys know, y'all can definitely chime in. David saying hi to everybody. You guys can definitely chime in because I don't know what the flow control cap is actually supposed to do. I did the same coffee, the same mix, and I've done it numerous times, and I can't tell any difference in the flavor of the two. And I need to look up and see how much the two different things cost. The little mesh thing they gave me came in a packet of two, and it came with some different brew methods. They say you can try. Now, one thing I do notice, I wish y'all could see better, but this one is leaking around the rim. And again, this is a brand new flow cup and a brand new Aero press, but it leaks quite a bit. And I've got it in there. I've got it in there pretty snug. I'm gonna let it drip into here. Yeah, you can put them both in the sink. That'll be good. You just put all that in the sink, will be fine. Thank you, sir. So I'm not exactly sure what the main difference is in between these, but people are buying it or they wouldn't be selling it, or vice versa. So I'm going to enjoy my cup, and I'm going to try to answer you guys' questions that have been sent in this week. One of the other things we were going to talk about is what's going on in the project, but somebody had sent in a donation, and I was going to go talk to them and tell them what I was going to use their donation for. But what I'm going to use it for. All right, Eli is heading out. Thanks, Eli.
Hey guys.
We have a bank on the farm, and it makes loans. The last big loan we made was for Pedro. Pedro needed to buy a small farm. I didn't have coffee in my nursery at the time. Excuse me, because normally I'll give him the plants, the extra plants we have. So we had to loan him a little bit extra money so he could buy plants to plant the farm with. He bought a farm big enough to plant about, I think he needed like 700 plants. So that'll be, for him, that's going to be quite a bit of coffee. We'll be able to either sell it here roasted. Generally what I do once that happens, it takes them a couple of years to get into production, but I'll pay them like, I think right now, the contract is like that I was going to offer him for his other coffee. I'll pay him $4.20 a pound for his coffee. And then once I roast it and sell it, then he'll get a per pound price for that. It takes a little while to explain to a lot of people how that if he sends me 100 pounds of green coffee, that's going to end up being about 83 pounds of roasted coffee. Now, some of you guys that roast will know that. Some of you guys that drink coffee don't realize that the coffee comes in that cherry, and just rough numbers, it takes 8.25 pounds of coffee in the cherry to make 1 pound of roasted coffee. So we'll sit Pedro down and we'll show him the numbers, and we'll say, $4.20 is what we're going to pay you for your green coffee next year. And if the price goes through the roof or something, of course, we'll adjust it. But the downside is if it tanks, I'm still going to pay him that $4.20 because he's counting on that. But on the backside, I don't sell the coffee the first day it hits the United States once roasted. So it'll take all throughout the year. And so once a month, we'll find out how much of his coffee got sold, and then we'll give him a percentage of the roasted side of it. Oh, excuse me. So that's my goal with all the guys, San Diego and all those guys. Well, Bill's buying San Diego, but with Anna's Coffee and all of those guys is to let them have part of that profit, even though they don't really do anything for it. But I don't have to do anything either. I don't have to fertilize it. I don't have to fool with it. I just get it, process it, and then send it to the States. And then when it come time, I'll roast it. And taking into consideration, it's not like it's 1 million pounds of coffee. We're talking about 100 to 500, 600 pounds of coffee. Anna had 2,100 pounds this year. So it's a little harder to do with Anna because at 2,100 pounds, that's sort of directly in competition with me, basically. Trying to read a few questions. I'm laughing at something Bill said that I probably shouldn't repeat. But if you guys have any questions, shoot them in. But that's basically what the bank is for. We can loan Pedro, we've loaned Santos, we've loaned Bahidio, Juan Carlos. I don't know who all money to buy their own little farm. They asked the other question, they said was, is it available to everyone? No, it's not. I've got, so far, the first 3 years we did the bank, we had 30% losses because anybody that worked on the farm, we would loan them money. Well, they would, some of them did it on purpose, I think. They would borrow a little bit, pay it back, borrow a little bit more. And then when they made that, 3 guys, they made a bigger loan and they just left and we never heard from them again. So for a 20-something-year-old guy, it's pretty easy just to move across the country. There's not Social Security numbers, driver's license numbers. There's no way you can find these guys. And for a $700-800 loan, you're not going to worry about tracking them down. But it eats a big portion of the bank up. So what we've done was when they come in, and the other question was who approves the loans. I don't have anything to do with approving a loan. Whoever they ask, if they ask Bahidio about it, he'll bring it in. He'll either give that person a reference or not. And then I have a couple of guys on the farm and that I ask about it. And now Pedro's been included, sort of like a board of directors or a loan committee. So they live in different little parts of where we're at. So at least 1 or 2 of them will have to know the person and recommend them for the loan, for them to get the loan. And you need to be working there for at least 6 months before you can get a loan. Now, there's a little till that Anna keeps in a drawer. If somebody needs $20 or $30 for a week or two, then Anna just loans it to them. But if you need a substantial amount, like a few $100s, you have to go through our little loan committee. And there's a list of stuff we will not loan money for. If you want to start up a business, we'll help you research it. But we've had a guy come in, I need to do this. It needs to be real quick. We don't do stuff like that. Before a corn grinder, we need to make sure your neighbor doesn't have a corn grinder. We need to make sure there's enough people around you that would support a corn grinding business. Different basic stuff, just like your bank at home would do. But I don't approve the loans. We have a little committee that does it. And the main reason that it's not available to everybody, it has to be somebody we know. Because as soon as those loans get paid back, it goes right back into the bank. It builds that balance up again so that we can loan to somebody else. And so it started out, it was just available to the more permanent workers, the guy that are there all the time. But everybody needs loans, and the banks won't fool with you if there's just a couple of dollars. You need to borrow $2,000 or $3,000. But cell phones, TVs, things like that, no. We used to not loan for any of the smartphones, but now we've changed that policy a little bit because with the COVID hit, they were doing more stuff at home and they needed smartphones. But then there's some Chinese versions that are like $80 for a smartphone. And they're able to get their lessons there, and then they can bring it to the farm, and we've got a printer available to them that doesn't cost them anything, and they can print their homework. They can print school projects. So it's just our way of doing something a little to sort of give back. Another question, somebody called and wanted espresso beans to roast. So I'm not trying to beat up on anybody, but most espressos are blends. We have a couple, our canal washed Lempira and our full natural. We use those as single espressos, but most of the time people come up with their own blends. Everybody, and I have my own too. Everybody wants their own little espresso blend. And I generally don't tell anybody what's in it because I want it to be mine. I have made up one for a couple of customers where they have their own blend, be it for espresso or just be in their house blend, but they can, I'll mix that up just for them. And I keep track of who's got what, so I never repeat that mix. Those are the only questions that I wrote down this week. The big thing, somebody asked, and I answered this question: what's the hardest part of not being there, of the coffee business? And I said, not being there. I desperately need to be there right now, and I'm not. To see that bathroom fall off the mountain for no good reason, just because nobody was paying attention, nobody cared enough to pay attention. Uh, there's it was just a nonsense waste of money, and it literally cost $3, $4, $5,000 to build that up, because it's like a 60-foot drop, and so we're gonna have to put up a massive retaining wall, and then probably bring in about 20 dump trucks loads of dirt. And as they dump that dirt, we're going to have guys shoveling it out level and packing it down. It'll take 2 weeks to do that project if we're lucky. But I'm going to go and I'm going to oversee us building the base of the retaining wall. I sort of know how to build them. I've got a good plan on how to build this particular one. But until I get there, I won't know exactly what's going on. So today, I hate asking for money. So today I reached out to 3 churches. And so I'm hoping that I can get some help from that. We don't have a lot in our little farm bank right now. So, and I'm going to have to fly down there on short notice. But there's a project we didn't finish. We built a retaining wall up that's level with the street where everybody drives. So I've got to finish pouring all that concrete all the way to the street, because with our retaining wall, those guys, when the county comes in to fix their retaining wall that fell down that caused all this trouble, when they go to do that, they're going to want to start parking in our area. And if they start parking those big trucks, and if they start bumping that truck up to our retaining wall, which is about 6 inches higher than the ground level, then it's going to start breaking our retaining wall. And we've got a 26-foot retaining wall that's 140 foot long, that's built out of stones this big. If they start tearing that down, I mean, first of all, the rocks will go down and slam into the library and to the dental clinic, and we'll really make a mess of that. But they'll just destroy, and they won't care. They won't care one bit. But if they just park in that dirt that's in front of our retaining wall, it's going to start pressing down that dirt, which is going to push out on the retaining wall, and we'll damage it again. We have a fence up, but we have a permit to temporarily put that fence up. So if the state wants to come and take it down, they'll just come and take it down. So I'm going to go up there, and we're going to start framing that up. And once I get my wood frames up, then I don't feel like they'll bother us after that point. But I'm hoping 6 days, and we'll get those 2 projects started. And then once it's up there, we're going to say that we need to let the concrete cure for 30 days or something. But there's really no place to park except for that one spot that I've got. The state did a project before, and I had a parking area across the street. And they came in, just destroyed it. And one day they needed rock. And so I had rock there where we could park, where we could pull a bus in. We had a group coming up. We put rock in there, and they needed rock. And they came and took all of our rock and went and used it on another project. So it's, in the long run, it's a lot of money. But in the long run, I think it's the only viable thing to do is to go up there and try to get that done. The bad thing is I'm going up again in 3 weeks, hopefully with my son, Jonathan, because we've got to start working on an apartment or a barracks. It's more of a barracks that we're building so that we can get a group of Nicaraguans to come down and pick coffee, and they'll live there for 2 months while they pick coffee. We're doing that because these caravans are leaving. Insane amounts of people are driving past every day heading to the United States and coming from crazy far countries away. They're flying in from all different countries and landing in South America, and they're taking the bus through Central America all the way to United States. And yes, Pedro has seen people well, I'm not going to get into that because it might hurt some feelings. But there's the people that are, just say this, the people that are passing our area are going across what we call the illegal frontier. It's not a regular border crossing into the next country. And so there's a reason they crossed that way instead of going through Guatemala where you go get a passport and all that. That's just my opinion, and that's all I'm going to dive into that bad boy. Yeah, Richard was saying he hopes we get it framed up. And we could definitely use your prayers on that because it will be 6 or 7 days down there. Won't be a lot of time to get it done. But if I can get those two major projects started and then get a contractor on both of them, then I feel like I feel pretty safe to leave. And we're coming into raising season here. So I'm going to have to be here to roast up a lot of coffee. So about 6 or 7 days is all I can do. So if I can get a ticket out on Sunday, then I'll roast 300 or 400 pounds to last that week while I'm gone. And then I'll get back as quick as I can, get back in time for church on Sunday. That's the goal. But I didn't have a whole lot to cover other than those couple of things. There was another question. What is my favorite brew method? I think sometimes I'm like a little monkey, and if you dangle something shiny in front of me, then I get all excited. But right now, the Aero press has been fun to play with. I'm loving the new one because it's not as much. It's not as big a pain to use as this little Aero press was. I don't have to do all the prep. A lot of times when I pull it out too quick, the plunger comes off. It's an $8. It's an $8 item. My main brew method is called the Bonavita. They call it a clever dripper, and it has a valve on it. So it would be a pour over, but also be classed as a full immersion. So which means that you could steep it for as long as you want to and then open the valve versus the, say, V60, that as soon as you can put a little bit of coffee in the V60 and let it bloom a little bit. But realistically, as soon as you pour the coffee, it starts brewing and dripping. You can let it bloom somewhat, but it's not an immersion type. I like the valve because then I can steep it for 2 or 3 minutes and control sort of how soft the grinds get and how much is extruded. And then that in turn, greatly increases my my coffee flavors and things like that. I am going to try to scoot them. Ooh, how about that? All right. I lost my foothold. And Richard said he got a new coffee maker. Can you tell us what you got? And then Andrew just joined us. Yeah, I love the V60. It's easy. I love affordable. I love free. I don't use my Chemex because the filters are expensive. I will not drink, and I do, but I don't like to drink cold coffee. So I'll generally, when I make a pot, I'll go ahead and put it into my little Coleman thermos thing, or whatever it's called. It's just like a travel mug. Like it's got a little drinking spout in it. I'll put it in there, which I have some in here, some in this other cup to keep it hot, because I like drinking it hot. And I just almost swear that this Coleman keeps my coffee just as hot as the little Yeti I got for Christmas. But my son gave it to me, so I used the Yeti. But I have a bigger Coleman, something like this, but holds probably twice as much. But I used the V60 all the time. But then I started buying the filters are a little bit different for the Clever Dripper. They're like the flat ones on the bottom. And so I did a subscription, and I get every month or two, I get like 400 filters. So that's made them like a nickel a piece or something. So I can use the V60 or that one for the same price. But still, I think the Chemex is like 11 or 12 cents for a filter. I do have the reusable cloth filters for my Chemex. And those work pretty well, but then it's a little bit messy when I do it. You have to dump the grinds out and then rinse it out. And so I don't use that as much, but I have it. And then I have metal filters that go with the V60 and the what's the other one? The Chemex. But again, I honestly think that there's a little bit of taste difference on the Chemex. It might be the brand. My Chemex isn't a brand name Chemex. So the filter may not be a real super high quality. So that might be part of it. So I just use one of the filters that you have to fold with the Chemex. And I bought a box of used ones here. The last ones I bought, there was like a box of 100 and there was like 75 left. So somebody sold them on eBay because they broke their Chemex. So I'll buy it if it's cheap. But I like to have one of everything, and I like to play with stuff and just try to experience coffee. And when I have time, I'll try to brew things in a couple of different brew methods. Next week, I'm going to try to see if Eli can get out of, he goes to youth group on Wednesday night. If he can get home a little bit earlier, we may try to do a cupping or something like that. Or if you guys want to, if you guys can set up your cameras and get your sound going like you want, maybe we'll all do a different pour over method or something. Oh, a Ninja specialty coffee maker. I'm ordering the Simply Good coffee. I'm ordering actually 4 of them this week. And then they're sending me a QR code so I can put it online so you guys can order it. And when you order from me, I'm going to give, every time you order one, it's $179, and I'm not sure if there's tax on that, which I'm going to bet there probably is. But we're going to give you $20 credit on your next order or something when you order one. But I want to get one in here first and use it a little bit. But it has a steeping mode on it where you hit the steeping button and it'll steep the coffee, and it waits 30 seconds or so. I don't know if there's a way that you can hit it again and make it go a minute. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but then it does have a heating element on it where it'll keep the pot warm. But when I talked to the lady from Simply Good, she said that it only goes 40 minutes because that's as long as you're supposed to keep specialty coffee warm. And they just decided that that's what they would make their timer do. So that's what they did. So that's what you get when you buy that one. It'll keep the coffee warm for 40 minutes. I do like that idea. And then it's got a 30-minute steep, and it has like a little shower head that, covers more of the grind. And then it steeps it and brews it. And I like being able to just push 1 or 2 buttons and it knocks that out for me. Becca's on. And Becca, again, do you guys have a website? Becca Coronado, I'm sorry. We have Coronado Heights is a couple of towns over. We've been there a few times. So I get your name turned around. Yeah, Richard's saying that his Ninja has something like that steeps it. I've always wanted a Mocha Master, and either the patent ran out on Mocha Master or something, but this machine, this Simply Good coffee, looks identical to the Mocha Master, has a very similar shower head, but it's a little more than half the price, I think. I think the Mocha Master is $300 or $350. Bill could answer that question because Bill is an aficionado on all coffee things new and used. He's always helping me find grinders and roasters and all kinds of good stuff. Becca, can people order your coffee through Facebook or your Instagram? I'm hoping Richard's saying the Simply Good one is nice. I'm hoping that it does work out because I'd like to be able to have one for myself, but also be able to sell them. Becca, do you guys sell to the public, or are y'all doing mainly farmers markets or? Because if you guys do sell online, you're welcome to put your contact information or email address. Becca and them buy some coffee green and they roast it, as well as Richard, Andrew, a lot of guys here. Bill buys a bunch. And Bill, I did not get to go to Wichita. The last 2 days have been ridiculous. I'm going to try my best to get over there and pick up my coffee tomorrow. And when I do, we'll touch base and see how much of what all you want. I did order some decaf. I can't remember where it's coming from, though. It'll either be Brazil or Mexico, I think, but I'm not 100% sure. And I will be ordering some Indian Robusta, which is the coffee that has twice as much caffeine. It's a 45-minute drive over to Wichita, Bill. And I've roasted the last of my decaf, so I'm going to be out of decaf in a couple of days, as well as I'm out of the India, and I've been saying I'm going to get it on pretty quick. Oh, and Becca had said something earlier about I've got an Eka 2 natural that I'm going to be putting on, but this week was just sort of chaos and I haven't done it. So if anybody wants to try the Eka 2, if you'll send me a PM, I'll send you the cupping notes and all that of it. Let me look here. I might have it, but I think it might be by my chair in the house. No, here we go. It's an Eka 2 natural. It's going to be like I2N as in natural. It's cocoa and ripe fruit. And we've got about 120 pounds of it, it looks like. And that will be the only natural that we have this year. We've got plenty of washed and honey. It's red honey and canal washed on the Eka 2. And then next week, I'll also be putting up B2M, which is a yellow bourbon. We have 200 pounds of that. And it's honey, caramel, and citrus are the cupping notes on it. And I'm going to have a tiny bit. It'll be in 2 weeks. I've got a variety called Sargi Moore, and I only have a little bit. It was a test lot. I have a little bit of natural, a little bit of honey, and a little bit of washed. And I'm going to put those in 3-pound lots, and it'll be a pound of each. So it's one coffee, and I bought a lot it's not my coffee. I bought it from one of my neighbors, and I took all the coffee they brought in. I processed it all the same day to the extent that you can in the same day. And so I broke it into thirds. And so I forget how many pounds I bought. I'll try to look that up. But I bought a big lot of coffee in the cherry, and I broke it into thirds. So to show you what process produces what, breaking it into even thirds, we weighed it out. I've got 45 pounds of natural, 87 pounds of honey, and 112 pounds of washed. So breaking into thirds, that's how it ended up coming out to green coffee. So the natural produces a lot less because a lot of the weight was the cherry. And then so it's 2.5 times more in comparison the wash to the natural. But I have those 3 lots in here. I'm going to break them into little threes, and you guys can try some of that. And the cupping notes on those are, it's good. It's good. Sweet caramel and honey are the Sargimore washed. Chocolate and caramel, nothing super exciting on the red honey, which is very unusual. And then the natural is cocoa, wine, and red grapefruit. So that one's going to be a crazy fun one, I think. So we'll have to, I'll get that weighed out. I think I sold a little bit of that to Curious Joe up in Iowa. I may have let him have a few pounds of it. But if anybody's interested, the natural ought to be cool because it's cocoa, wine, and red grapefruit. That'll be a fun coffee. I'm not excited about learning how to roast it, but I'm excited to give it a shot. And Richard's liking the Bourbon. And the Bourbon has been a lot higher in years past. It is the most unusual and unique coffee about having such different flavor profiles every single year. And a lot of our coffees are very unique in that a couple of the podcasts we've gone over and talked about that. Becca, I try to taste all the notes, but in all honesty, a lot of times I can't find them. And like right now, I had a cap that fell off the other day, or a porcelain crown that fell off. And so I went to Walgreens, and they actually have a glue called Recap It. And so I put that glue in there and I shoved it back on. And for like 3 days, all I could taste was the glue. So I don't know if I'm tasting coffee or not. And I can feel it's loose again. So I'm not tasting a lot of flavors in the coffee right now. And tonight, before I go to bed, I'll have to try to re-glue that bad boy on again. So yeah, it's anything affects it, and that really neutralized the flavor of the coffee. Right now, this cup is pretty good, but I brewed it in a hurry. I didn't let it steep. And so, a lot of times you can just ruin it by not having the time to be patient and to really pay attention to it and get the most out of it. And that's what you're trying to do ultimately. And that's why we like to play with so many different brew methods. And it's why I'm probably going to order me another siphon. I got frustrated before and gave mine away. And when we were in cupping school with you can look up, his name is Willem. He spells it Wilam, Willem Boot. And he has Boot Coffee Camp or Boot Coffee School in California somewhere. And he owns a couple of farms in Panama and makes a really amazing geisha. He has Finca Esmelda and Finca Sofia. And he's got coffee that's selling for well over $100 a pound. And when I went to his cupping school, one of the 2 or 3 times during that first day of cupping school, women would bring us out and we'd all get like a little bitty cup or a little bitty plate, and it would have banana, grapefruit, pineapple. It would have all these different flavors. And we would eat one of those fruits, and then we would cleanse our palate. We'd eat another fruit. And then after we did that, we would go in and cup a Yemen mocha or one of his geishas or something like that. And it makes a big difference when your palate is clean and when you've got those flavors in your mind. We did bananas. There was all kinds of different things. He was trying to teach us we smushed the banana in our mouth. We didn't really chew it. And so this is creamy. And so you want this feeling after the cup of coffee's gone. And it was very unique. It was very unusual school. It was 3 days, I think. I had to drive up to San Pedro Sula and take his class. So it was exciting. Got to spend some time with him. He definitely wouldn't give me any hints on on how to grow coffee. Yeah, before COVID, we had some interest in doing some cuppings. So I'm gonna start reaching out with some people before Christmas and see if we can't do a cupping. I also have 2 roasters here. I have a second Hucky that I want to hook up. I'm wanting to see if we can get some people that might be interested in coming in and roasting their own coffee or taking like a little roasting course. First, I'm going to try to get a contract or something set up to be a distributor for like Whirly Pop or something where I could sell them some kind of an entry-level package to start doing some home roasting. But I'd like for people to come in and sort of, if they're interested in roasting their own and see how that works. But the tasting is something I definitely want to do. I've been invited to speak at a couple of homeschool things, some nursing homes. I speak at a couple of those a year for whatever reason. But I would really like to get into some colleges or some kind of a deal where people would really want to do a cupping and learn more about coffee. Maybe try to reach out to some baristas or something. But my skill level is not the highest in cupping, but I do know the basics. I know exactly how to do a cupping, but I'm just not the best in the world about perceiving all those flavors. And I can come within a point of the coffee when it comes to judging the coffee. But again, I'm going to miss some of the flavors that a lot of people would pick up, because I have 3 different grapefruits on this cupping list of about 60 coffees. There's grapefruit, there's red grapefruit, and there's pink grapefruit. And all these cuppings were done by the same guy on the same day. And so he sensed that it was a red grapefruit, not a pink, or he just said, oh, it tastes like grapefruit and a little less distinctive, you know. So that's sort of what I need to practice up on. But again, it's time. I just got done. I've got finished roasting at, I think, 8:25. And then I had to get everything ready to start doing my podcast at 9. And then now here it's coming up on, it'll be 10 o'clock here pretty soon. I get up and go to going to an aerobic kickboxing class tomorrow. Eli likes to take it. So twice a week we get up at 4:20 and head over there. And there's 2 classes. So I just sort of sit around for the first class. The second class, I lift some weights and do some stretches. And then we practice Taekwondo forms a little bit. That's the goal. And he's got an 8 o'clock dog walking thing. So I'll sleep in the truck for 30 minutes on that, and then back to work. And then 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, we've got Taekwondo until 8 o'clock tomorrow night. And then we'll, our Taekwondo, our niece, it's testing, so it'll be a long night. And then I'll know by then if I'm flying to Honduras. If I am, then Saturday I'll be roasting coffee. But I'll be at class at 6 o'clock on Saturday morning through 11 on Saturday morning, and I'll come roast and then hopefully fly to Honduras on Sunday. Right now, the roads are so bad, I can't find anybody to come pick me up. So we'll have to see how that comes out. Oh, Becca's got to take a call. We're probably going to shut it down here pretty quick. I've got to load a pallet of coffee tonight that's going to ship out in the morning or tomorrow afternoon. So it's got to be ready first thing in the morning in case they come early. So we're going to load a pallet of 6 bags going to Island, Kentucky, or Evansville, Indiana. It's the closest dock, and then they'll go pick it up from there. Maybe one day we'll be shipping you guys coffee on pallets, but probably not tomorrow. Hopefully not tomorrow. But when you're ready, we're ready. Oh, if you guys know a trucking company, I'm having trouble. Yellow Freight is who we've used for years, and they just went bankrupt. So I'm struggling to find a company that's got a decent price. I mean, they're wanting $500 to ship 6 bags of coffee to Kentucky. I could drive it down there in my pickup for that price. I'm going to ask the guy if he wants to meet me. So, but if he does, it's going to have to be Friday. That's my only day. Guys, thanks for joining. If you've got anybody that would listen or find this interesting, if you'll share this a little bit. Tonight before going to the house, I'm going to go ahead and post next Wednesday's podcast, the little link. So you guys can pick it up off the website if you wanted to, or pick it up off the Facebook page. But if you guys have a chance to go in and give us a Google review, or go on the website and leave a review, or just send me a PM that I can use and leave a review, and I can just post those straight onto the website. Google reviews are the best if you have time. We need all the help we can get. We're trying to make that push just like you guys are, into selling, or a lot of you guys are into selling more roasted coffee. So if you have a good experience with us, I'd appreciate it if you go and give us a Google review. When you order your next order, remind me. I have about 300 3-ounce samples of roasted coffee. I'll put some of that in with your next orders. It's fine if you want to put your label on the front of it and give it away as samples to your customers. I've got a lot of them that I didn't use in Chicago. The coffee is 3 weeks old, but I roasted it 3 days before the event. So it still should be good. And I drank some the other day. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. So it's already bagged up. It's got my sticker on it. So you're welcome to put your own sticker on it and give it out as samples. It's just a couple basic coffees. It's the Canal Washed and the Marciesa and the Natural. So on your next order, let me know, and I'll stick some samples in. But they are roasted whole bean, and the bag's already been sealed, so I can't grind it. But yeah, let me know if you want some of those. If that'll help you guys out, then please do that. But when you leave a Google review, the girl that helps me with computer stuff is going to be here on Friday. So we're going to try to post some of those reviews. And so I would appreciate it if you guys have time to do it, or throw it out to some of your friends that might want to listen to the podcast, or anybody, coffee shops that you deal with that want to come on. And if we could do something specifically with some group, let me know. We'll help however we can. But tonight's one of our bigger nights. I appreciate everybody that's watching, and appreciate the comments. And we'll be back on again. I'm going to put on a recorded post in a couple of days about what's going to update a few things. Possibly next Wednesday's podcast will be from Honduras. If I get to Honduras, I will for sure do a Sunday night podcast from the landslide part of the farm. But guys, thanks for being here, and we'll talk to you again soon. I really appreciate it. Yeah, let me know, Richard, because I've got the 3 bags pulled already. I can get them to you whenever your next order is. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Good night.